So you guys have been asking for it. Here we go, budget magnetic keyboard tier list. And some of you were also asking for an updated tier list, but if I really included all of the new budget magnetic or all of the new magnetic keyboards that I've tried so far, it's gonna be too much and the video is gonna take too long, I think. So we're just gonna be ranking the new recent budget magnetic keyboards I've tried and some old magnetic keyboards as well, budget as well, as you can see over here. Now take note though that this will be my tier list, so it will have some personal preferences because you know we all have different personal preferences on the looks, the sounds, and stuff like that. But yeah, this will be my honest opinions and tier list. All of the keyboards here I've already reviewed and tried in the channel, so my videos will be up in the channel. And I will also put all these keyboards in the links in the description, and those will be my affiliate links, so I would really appreciate it if you use those when buying any of these keyboards. And I also might have some discount codes down in the description that you can check out, that you can use. Before I rank the first keyboard over here, what do I look for a budget magnetic keyboard? Now, first of all, of course, price. That's one of the main reasons budget, you're interested in a budget, even though it's not as good as some very expensive ones. But not gonna lie, some budget magnetic keyboards over here are as good almost. But yeah, of course, the price, we're gonna be looking at that, how cheap it is compared to the value that you're gonna be getting. Next is performance. Of course, we also care about those. Now, I won't be able to give you guys like proper tests, like down to the slowest milliseconds. So I will probably be looking at the advertised speeds, but I will also be looking at the other people's opinions, and there are some others that tested the latency. We're also gonna be considering that. Next is the typing experience and the sound. How good sounding is the keyboard? Now, some people don't really care about this, but for me personally, I do care about the sound, because spoiler alert, some budget magnetic keyboards over here sound so much better than those expensive magnetic keyboards. Of course, the quality of the keyboard as well. Is the plastic just feels very cheap and budget? The keycaps, does it just feel, you know, budget, which is actually to be expected because it's a budget magnetic keyboard. Is the case made out of aluminum or what? Because yeah, there are some budget options over here that is made out of aluminum. Another important thing is the software and the features it has in the software. But yeah, how is the software? Is it web-based? Is it too buggy? What's the issues I've experienced with the software? Is it even usable? Is it feature-packed or is it lacking? Because yeah, I think a good software can make the keyboard feel just overall more premium, especially if it has all of the features, SOCD, hyper-tap, all those different stuffs. And lastly, we're also going to be looking at what made the keyboard special. Like some of these keyboards are wireless, or some of these keyboards are compatible with magnetic and mechanical switches, which is crazy. Oh, and if I forgot to mention, what I consider budget magnetic keyboard price is as long as it's below $100. But yeah, anyways, let's just go ahead and get started right away. So starting with the MADLIONS MAD68 HE. Now this is one of the most famous, well-known budget magnetic keyboards because they're one of the first budget magnetic keyboards out there in the market, especially like coming in around $22 when I bought it. Now I've heard a lot of people say that the price have rose and the shipping can cost a lot, especially if you live in some certain areas. But yeah, the price I'm gonna be counting for this keyboard is $22 because that's what I got it for. And I did get the cheapest variation, by the way. So for the performance, the cheapest variation over here of the MADLIONS MAD68 HE is 1000 Hz polling rate, but you can get a prower version which is a little bit more expensive, coming in 8000 Hz polling rate. Now those are the advertised speeds, but I did see some people testing it out and getting results below, like just around 1000, just below 1000, even though it says 8000. Now trust who you want to trust, but from what I can see as well, the 1000 Hz version or the 8000 Hz version of the MAD68 HE over here is still faster than some well-known magnetic keyboards that is above $100. And when I was gaming, it did feel pretty responsive still. So yeah, still pretty decent performance, especially for around $22 only. Now for my typing experience with the MAD68 HE, it did sound pretty nice, especially for around $22. The stabilizers were amazing. They were pre-lubed surprisingly. Spacebar didn't have any rattle. I'll give you guys a little sound test after I rank this over here. But yeah, it did sound pretty decent, and I'd say even on par with some $100 price magnetic keyboards out there. But if you ever want to make the keyboard sound better, you can always just change the switches to better switches, better sounding ones, and that will really help a lot. And you can even mod it since it's pretty much a copy of the Wooting 60 HE, so Wooting 60 HE cases fit with this. I actually did mod my MAD60 HE. Made a video about it, you might have already seen it. But yeah, this is one of the most moddable keyboards from out of here, I'm pretty sure, which a lot of people actually like. But yeah, the stock quality of the keyboard was pretty okay. It was made out of plastic, at least for the cheapest variation. It did have this little strap just like the Wooting. I have no problems with the quality of the keyboard, at least for my unit. For the software, it was surprisingly web-based and amazing, had all of the features. Some are poorly translated or not really labeled the right way, but it was still pretty easy to understand. I did hear people saying that they had trouble with the software, but for me personally, when I was setting it up, I didn't have any problems with it. Was able to set my actuation point and my SOCD, those stuffs. I think what made this keyboard very unique was it's one of the first budget magnetic keyboards that are very cheap that's like crazy for the price. Like, you're getting a lot. But it did have a lot of controversies with copying Wooting too much, because to the strap, down to the casing, down to the box. I'm gonna rate this for how I see it as a keyboard itself. For $22, it is amazing, definitely worth it. Again, I'm not trying to promote counterfeiting over here, but as a budget magnetic keyboard, I think it does belong to the S tier. It is an amazing budget magnetic keyboard for $22. But okay, moving on to the Epomaker HE75 Mag. Now, what definitely makes this keyboard special is it's wireless. And for below $99, it's around $99.99, I think. So yeah, if you're really looking for a budget wireless magnetic keyboard, then you might put this a bit higher. But I'm gonna be honest, wirelessness is not really a big thing for me personally. It is definitely an amazing feature to have. Now, this might depend on every person's situation, but for me personally, I just have my PC over here. I don't really need it to be wireless. I can just go ahead and plug it in directly to my PC, and I don't need to worry about it getting low battery. Oh, I need to charge it again. Oh, okay, this and that. So yeah, wirelessness is not really a big thing for me. But anyways, performance wise, it does have 1000 Hz polling rate. It did feel pretty responsive when I was gaming with it. It is a 75% layout, and it does have a knob, so a lot of people might like that. I definitely do like the 75% layout though. Moving on to the tapping experience and sound, it was pretty okay. It is definitely decent for the budget price, but yeah, it's definitely not like crazy good or crazy bad. It's just pretty decent, and I think it's pretty acceptable for the price. For the quality of the keyboard, I do remember it having only a plastic case, but it did have some weight, definitely because of the battery, I'm pretty sure, because it's wireless again. So it did kind of make the keyboard feel more premium. The software was not web-based, sadly. Software definitely not the best, but the features it came with though was amazing. I remember it having snap tap or SOCD, DKS mod tap toggle key. But yeah, I'm gonna be going ahead and put this around the A tier. I think it is still worth it, especially if you're looking for a wireless magnetic keyboard, then you might want to put this higher. But yeah, again, for me, as I said, not really a huge thing for me, this wirelessness. And you can actually get this for below $99 with my discount code MIGSS10. So yeah. Anyways, moving on to the MonsGeek FUN60, to be specific, the Ultra TMR version, because that's what I've tried over here. It is the one that's compatible with both mechanical and magnetic switches. And yes, that's definitely one of the things that makes this keyboard unique and special. Now, a lot of you might find the idea of having a magnetic and mechanical switch compatible PCB kinda useless, and I can understand that for some, but it's definitely useful, especially for those that want to use mechanical switches but still want to have that magnetic keyboard feature and responsiveness. Now, sadly, you won't be able to have that adjustable actuation point with mechanical switches, but you can have the WASD and spacebar, or the specific keys that you use for gaming, have magnetic switches, while the others will have mechanical. But hey, if you don't really care about mechanical switches, then you can still get the MonsGeek FUN60 HE Pro, which is the cheapest version that you can get for as low as $29.99. So yeah, if you don't really care about the cross compatibility, then in exchange you can get it for cheaper, which is good. Performance wise, it was pretty responsive. It does have 8000 Hz polling rate. I don't really have any issues with its performance, as well as when I tested it on Keyboard Inspector, pretty accurate 8000 Hz. For the typing experience and the sound, again, it will depend a lot, but you definitely have more options over here, because you can get it in an aluminum case or in a plastic case, depending on the variation you're going to be getting. So of course, if you want the better sound, then you should go for the aluminum case. But yeah, stock, it did sound pretty okay for me, decent. The Ultra version with the aluminum case, you can get for as low as around $59 if I'm correct. But yeah, still pretty budget, especially considering you have an aluminum case. Software was pretty good, didn't have any issues when I was setting up the keyboard. It is web-based, so pretty easy. You don't really have to download anything, maybe except for when you're updating the firmware. But it was still a pretty decent software. It does have snap tap. If it has RT stabilization features, so it does a lot. Definitely is feature packed, and yeah, definitely a very unique and special keyboard over here for the price of around, again, you do have a lot of different options to choose from. If you're really on a budget and you don't really care about cross compatibility, you don't really care about the tri-mode feature, you're okay with it wired, you can get it for around as low as $29.99. But if you do care about those aluminum case and all of those different features, you can get it for around $89, which I really love how MonsGeek provided all those options. And yeah, I think it is gonna be in the SS tier. But okay, moving on to the Womier M68 HE V2. Performance-wise, they did claim it does have 8000 Hz polling rate, so pretty responsive. I didn't have any problems gaming with it. It did feel pretty responsive when I was gaming as well. Tapping experience and the sound was pretty decent. I got it for around $55, and for the price, it is pretty expected. It is not crazy good. I do remember the stabilizers being rattly though, but no really major problems with the sound. For the quality of the keyboard and the case, the keycaps, it is made out of plastic. I do like the keycaps though, the quality, the design, it was pretty good. You can even get the shine true ones, which I think is better. I did have a web-based software. It was a little buggy from what I can remember, but I hope they fixed it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you just need to update it on the latest firmware. It did have snap tap, DKS mod tap, all those stuffs. Pretty okay web-based software, especially for the price. But a pretty decent budget magnetic keyboard over here as well. I'm gonna be putting it around A. Again, I got it for around $55. I think it is a pretty good price, and I think it is pretty worth it. But okay, moving on to the IROK ND63. Now, it did perform pretty well. It did have 8000 Hz polling rate. It did feel pretty responsive when I was gaming. Typing experience was pretty okay. Sounded pretty decent, especially for around $35. I'm pretty sure that's how much I got it here in the Philippines, and this is the cheapest variation. I also do remember the stabilizers being not rattly with this keyboard, so that is a plus, especially for the price. Now, for the quality, it is made out of plastic, and I actually tried to mod this keyboard. I thought it was pretty compatible with like a Wooting case, but not really, because the screw placement was different, so yeah, take note of that. But yeah, the quality of the keyboard was pretty decent, especially for the price. It didn't really feel cheap even though it is cheap. Now, for the software, it does have a web-based software. It was also pretty feature-packed, and it was pretty easy to access from what I can remember. Didn't really encounter any problems with it. It was a pretty amazing budget magnetic keyboard. Another thing I remembered was its RGB was amazing. It might have one of the most vibrant RGBs out of all these budget magnetic keyboards. But yeah, for around $35, this is amazing. I'm gonna be putting it as well in the S tier, just a little bit above of the MAD68 HE over here. But okay, moving on to the AULA Win60 HE. Now, this I think is the most cheap budget magnetic keyboard right now in the market. I did get it for around $20, which is crazy. Take note, that is, again, here in the Philippines. It might change a lot, especially where you're from or who you're buying it from, what reseller you're buying from. But yeah, I got it for around $20. So we're gonna be rating it based on how much I got it for. Performance-wise, did feel pretty responsive. Does have 8000 Hz polling rate. It did show pretty accurate 8000 Hz polling rate results in the keyboard inspector. But the gaming with it felt pretty nice and responsive. The most sensitive settings was amazing. Typing experience was pretty decent, especially considering it's only $20. You can't really expect much, but it did still felt amazing and sounded amazing. It is made out of plastic, but still pretty high quality. The keycaps as well. It also has this little strap like the Wooting, but it definitely is less copied compared to the MAD68 HE versus Wooting comparison. For the software, it does have a web-based software. It was also pretty feature-packed. It did have SOCD and stuff like that. But yeah, what made this keyboard definitely unique and special is it's, again, the cheapest magnetic keyboard right now in the market, or at least from where I'm from. It can definitely vary on each other's location, but yeah, because of that, I'm gonna be putting it around SS tier over here. But okay, moving on to the Redragon FIDD K683. Now, Redragon, they're one of the first ones to make around the $50 budget magnetic keyboard. I did make a video about it before, but yeah, they have a newer magnetic keyboard. It's not really new, I think, but yeah, it is still newer than their old magnetic keyboard. And not gonna lie, it was pretty okay, but I didn't really see much difference or improvements compared to their budget magnetic keyboard. That is like 6 months old. But yeah, it is still a budget magnetic keyboard. For the price, you know, you could get it for as low as $51 with discount code MIGSS. And for me personally, I think this is pretty much what you'd expect with $51. If I get this keyboard without knowing the price, I'd know that it is a budget magnetic keyboard. But I think what makes this keyboard still unique and special from others is it is from Redragon, which is a pretty well-known brand and pretty old. You can trust them, or at least I trust them because they've been around. But your performance-wise, they did claim that it did have 8000 Hz polling rate, but from Keyboard Inspector, there, it did say 1000 hertz, or at least the pattern from what I read. Still felt pretty responsive though when I was gaming. Didn't really have major issues with it. It definitely is the most less sensitive over here though. The Redragon FIDD over here is kind of like, I tap it a little bit, not really actuating it, but I tap it a little bit more, then it actuates. So I didn't really feel 0.1, but still felt pretty responsive. Some people might not even notice the difference when gaming and actually, you know, in the fight. My typing experience is pretty okay for the price. Expected. Sound as expected as well. The sound is definitely one of the not so great part compared to the others over here. It is expected for the price, but if we're gonna be comparing it to the others over here, this is the least favorite sound I have. But it still felt pretty okay quality, especially for the price when I was picking it up. No problem, no major problems. Software didn't have SOCD, but it did have like the basic features from what I can remember, like DKS, mod tap toggle key. It wasn't web-based, sadly, but I just hope it's web-based though, or they change it in the future, hopefully. Didn't really have any major problems encountered with it. It performed like a magnetic keyboard, pretty nice. And yeah, you can get it for around $51, which is amazing. And I think it is worth it. But I'm gonna be putting it around the B tier over here. Still an amazing worth it budget magnetic keyboard though. This might be higher, especially considering where you are from, since this other budget magnetic keyboards might not be that available for your country. And you know, who knows, this Redragon might, you know, is an option and is just waiting for you there. But okay, moving on to the MCHOSE Ace 60 Pro. Now, they also have an Ace 68 Pro, which I'm interested in, and I think I'm gonna actually have a review coming. But yeah, the MCHOSE Ace 60 Pro over here is an amazing budget magnetic keyboard. You could get it for around $26, or when I at least reviewed this, you could get it for as low as $26 here in the Philippines, or you could get it around $28 in their official website, the cheapest variation, with discount code MIGSS. But yeah, that didn't really include shipping, so yeah, you can go ahead and calculate that later. But yeah, performance-wise, they do claim it does have 8,000 hertz polling rate and 16,000, or was it 32,000 scan rate, which is crazy responsive. And from what I saw from others' results, some people tested it as well to the lowest milliseconds, and it was one of the most responsive budget magnetic keyboards. And from what I've seen, the Ace 68 version, I think, has a 128k scan rate, which could be overkill because, you know, your polling rate is still gonna be 8,000. But yeah, you definitely cannot doubt the performance of this budget magnetic keyboard out over here by MCHOSE A60 Pro or 68 Pro. Typing experience and the sound was one of the best as well, actually, because they do have a lot of switches that you can choose from. The one I chose was I got was the Uranus TTC magnetic switches, and it felt amazing. Not just the sound, but the feel as well. I just loved it. It was also pretty stable. I mean, TTC makes amazing switches, magnetic switches. They definitely made the right choice to use their switches. But yeah, the stabilizers on this keyboard was amazing. Not rattly at all. It was pre-lubed from what I can remember. The keyboard was made out of plastic, but still felt pretty high quality. I had no problems with it. For the software, it was pretty feature packed and it was pretty easy to understand. I do remember it having a web-based software. So yeah, I'm gonna be putting it around the SS tier over here, and yeah, it's gonna be on the top over here. But okay, moving on to the EWEADN Battle68. You could get it for around $45, or at least that's how much I could get it for when I reviewed this keyboard. And I'm pretty sure this price is with the discount code MIGSS. It did have 8,000 hertz polling rate. Gaming with it felt amazing. I had no problems with it. Typing with it felt amazing as well. I do remember loving the typing experience with this. Something about the keyboard, the keycaps, and the switches, I really liked it. And the sound as well, especially for the price. I think it is an amazing sound for that price. The quality of the keyboard was pretty decent. It was made out of plastic, but still pretty nice quality. The keycaps were pretty okay as well, especially for the price. Really loved the wavy design look. For the software, I also do remember it having a web-based software, and it was pretty feature packed with the SOCD and all that different stuff, DKS, mod tap. I didn't really remember experiencing any major problems with it, but yeah, it is definitely a pretty competitive budget magnetic keyboard over here in the scene, and I'm gonna be putting it around the S tier over here. But okay, moving on to the Attack Shark X65 Pro HE. Now, of course, it also has the non-pro, which I think is, of course, the cheapest variation, the cheaper variation. You can get it for as low as $36, or at least on the Kickstarter campaign. But yeah, the MSRP is higher. But yeah, it is crazy that you can get it for as low as around $36, especially Attack Shark. It's not a new company. They've been around as well. I've heard of their names. So yeah, they definitely do have a lot more reputation compared to these other new brands that just suddenly popped out of nowhere. But yeah, performance-wise, it did have 8,000 Hz polling rate for the Pro and the non-Pro. But yeah, the main difference is the Pro has a wireless version feature. And yes, the 8,000 Hz still did apply on the wirelessness. Gaming with it felt amazing and responsive as well. The lowest, the most sensitive actuation point and rapid trigger settings. No problems with the performance. For the typing experience and the sound, it also was pretty decent, especially again for the price that you're paying. The keyboard case is plastic, but yeah, again, still felt pretty decent quality. No problems with it. The keycaps as well did have a similar wavy design like a lot of other budget magnetic keyboards actually. Now for the software, it was web-based and pretty easy to set up from what I can remember, or I didn't really experience any major problems with it. It is pretty feature-packed with snap tap, DKS toggle key mod tap, so love that. I think what makes this keyboard special is I think it is the cheapest wireless budget magnetic keyboard right now, right? Coming in around $49 with the Kickstarter. So if wirelessness is a really big thing for you and you're really on a budget, then yes. But I actually do remember it having not such a very good battery life. Like you will have to charge it almost every day from what I can remember, especially it having 8,000 Hz on wireless. Definitely gonna drain the battery a lot. But yeah, I will be putting this around the S tier over here, somewhere the same rank as the EWEADN over here. It's very hard to pick who's more. Definitely gonna be personal preference though, but yeah, they're pretty similar. I guess if wirelessness is your thing, you put this up, but yeah, I'll just put it right there. But okay, lastly, the NuPhy Halo65 HE. Now, I didn't really review this like recently, but I did review this and I think it is still an amazing budget option. It is around $99, but with discount code MIGSS, you can get it for around $90. So it is still in the budget option range. So yeah, I still think it is a pretty nice option to include it in the tier list over here. But yeah, definitely what made this keyboard special is it is one of the keyboards that I could really recommend. Because NuPhy, their name has been around for a while now, very trustworthy, and I think this keyboard right here is the best sounding out of all of these. But it is definitely not on the price level of the MCHOSE though, except if you go for the most expensive version, and then it's gonna be around close price. But yeah, performance wise, it did feel pretty responsive when I was gaming with it. It does have 8,000 Hz polling rates. I had no problems with the performance of the NuPhy Halo65 HE. For the typing experience, again, one of the best typing experience I've experienced on a magnetic keyboard. Like, it might be the switches they used on the Halo65 HE over here, but it is crazy. The sound, the tapping experience, definitely NuPhy Halo65 HE over here on the top. For the quality of the keyboard, it did feel pretty nice quality. It did have an aluminum or metal part of the case, but some of it was plastic. It did have RGB on the surrounding of the case as well, which is pretty cool. For the software and the features, hands down, NuPhy has the best. I think better than Wooting, but it just might be me though. You guys can go ahead and check it out yourselves. But yeah, I think it has the most features out of all of the budget magnetic keyboards over here. I'm not gonna go through much on what's its features because there's so many, but yeah, it's an amazing web-based software. I didn't really experience any major problems with the keyboard. Perfectly fine, amazing budget magnetic keyboard. I loved it. And because of that, I'm actually gonna be putting it around over here, or maybe over here. It really depends though. I feel like if the cross compatibility option is such a big thing for you, then yeah, this is definitely gonna be over here. Might even be over here. I'm kind of tied on this one, like which is which. But actually, the MonsGeek might be faster than the NuPhy. But the web-based software is just such a good one on the NuPhy over here, and it's not that far behind from the performance anyway. But yeah, that's gonna be the tier list for the budget magnetic keyboards I've tried recently. All of the budget magnetic keyboards here will be in the links in the description, and take note again guys, I've mentioned it already, but just in case you missed it, all of the prices over here might change depending on where you're from, and that can really change the order of the tiers over here. Prices can go up and down, which can be a good or a bad thing, but yeah, just consider that, take note of that. Anyways, again, all of these keyboards will be in the links in the description and all of the specific review videos if you want more details on each keyboard. Please use my affiliate links when buying any of these keyboards, but yeah, even though those are my affiliate links, these are all my honest opinions about this keyboard, and this is my honest tier list. Not gonna lie, any of these you cannot really go wrong, especially all of these keyboards on the SS tier. You cannot really go wrong. Like, they're all crazy for the price. Even the S tier over here, I mean, even the A and the B, or like, they're all amazing, worth it budget magnetic keyboards. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this tier list. I pray and hope that you enjoyed and you found this video helpful in some way. I'll go ahead and see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to stay grateful, and remember, Jesus loves you. Bye bye.